topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Table Live. We're your hosts, Melanie Young and David Ransom, your insatiably curious culinary couple. We're broadcasting live from our beautiful chosen home city of New Orleans, Louisiana, where it is a gorgeous April spring day. Anyone who wants to come visit should be here now. We are so proud to live in New Orleans. One of the really amazing things we love about this city is that it is home to many multi-generational family-run businesses that have roots that started often in Europe, but also in Asia and South America and the Caribbean. Many of these businesses were indeed started by immigrants who moved to New Orleans in the 1800s and 1900s. And today, we are really honored to have one of the city's most beloved institutions and family-run businesses on our show. You all know that one of the great things about visiting New Orleans is having oysters, Louisiana oysters. Natural oysters are the best, and you can have them raw. You can have them in po' boys. You can have them on brochette. There's Oysters Rockefeller. There's a million dishes with oysters, and we love them, and we love going to our oyster happy hours. Well, today we're going to be speaking with the fifth generation family member of P J Oyster Company, which was started in 1876. It is not only Louisiana's oldest oyster business, but it's also the nation's. So we're talking history today. And joining us is Sal Sunseri, who is a family member representing the fifth generation. He has been running it with brother Al, Sal and Al, and their sons, Blake and Dominic, sixth generation, are primed to take over. So we are so happy to say welcome to Sal Sunseri, and we're going to celebrate 150 years of P J Oyster Company today on the Connected Table. Welcome.
Hello, hello. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're in New Orleans and experience this beautiful festival weather that the Lord brought to us today. It's wonderful.
Yeah. When we tell people we live in New Orleans and they go, the weather, we go, tell me about how you're doing up there in February and March while we're just enjoying beautiful weather, February, March, April, and you're still freezing your butts off.
And slurping some good oysters.
And we're having oysters.
Indeed.
So before we start, we put up this image behind us. And
I love that.
Let's give a little credit to the artist and what it is. David, move your head and we'll go like this.
It's gorgeous. That's P&J, Toulouse and Rampart. On the outskirts of the French Quarter. It's gorgeous.
And the streetcar in front. So what's cool, everybody, our fans around the world, is that P&J is in the heart of the French Quarter. So you can actually go visit and see it when you come and learn about it. And then, of course, go out and eat oysters all over the city because you sell to just about everybody, right?
I wouldn't say everybody, but the ones that are most special to me and them to us. I mean, we have a lot of beautiful restaurants that take care of us. I wouldn't say all. I mean, that's kind of hard to do.
But many. So let's talk about the history of P&J. We said that the company was started in 1876. It's 150 years old, but it actually is two families from two countries that had two different businesses that were united in union. So let's talk about the two families and how they came together and how P&J became P&J.
Certainly. It was Austria, of course, which is Yugoslavia and Croatia. So the Austrian side of the family and the Sicilian side of the family who started it is Antonio Popic and Giuseppe Jurisic. Antonio Popich and Giuseppe Jurisic. And yes, that's where it all started. We had family from Ustica also, from the Sunseri side of the family. And what happened was during that time, Palermo was the export city for all the citrus and the lemons. And we became very predominant in the United States with our products. So twice a 2, 3, 4 times a year, they'd ship not only the product, but all of the people that wanted to move to the United States. So that's kind of how it all started. And a lot of the Sicilians went to New Orleans and the French market. And so a lot of people had worked there and sold their wares and sold their products in the French market. So sure enough, they ended up they were fishermen also. So they had a combination of all sorts of different abilities, and 2 of them got into the oyster business. So they started back in 1876. They had opened up different spots in the French Quarter, and we landed at Toulouse and Rampart, by the way, in 1921. So that's 105 years ago. And let me tell you a little bit about how the Sunseri side of the family got into the Jurisic side. So sure enough, my grandmother's oldest sister, 30-year difference, ended up marrying the Federico side of the family, married the Jurisics, the Jurisic family, into the Jurisic family. And so anyway, Papa Sunseri wanted Elvira's hand in marriage, right? So sure enough, he had to get a second job because Papa Federico said, you better get another job. She has rich taste. So sure enough, he ends up working with P J Oyster Company because he was the master in sales with the produce and shipping all over the country. And you train it all over the country. So he goes to the future cousins and says, hey, I'd like to get a part-time job. I'm doing the produce. And they said, this is a wonderful idea because we want to expand. And this was the way to do it. So my grandfather, Alfred Sunseri, ends up getting the permission from, Papa Federico. And so that's how the Sunseri side of this family started in the business. So we strategically moved to Toulouse and Rampart, your backdrop, by the way. We didn't have the streetcars right then and there, but in 1921, I can't remember. Because I wasn't there back then. So we started there at Toulouse and Rampart because the Basin Street Canal came up to Basin Street. And so we would draw oysters from the east side of the river, and they would come right there to the banks of that spot. And then we'd also draw from the French market for the west side of the river for all the oysters that came through there. So we would process up to 80,000 oysters a day and ship them throughout the country. And it was on railway. Southern Railway was right there also. So it was very convenient to be able to grow and expand. And that's how we kind of started right there at that location.
It's amazing. And, for everybody, it really does look like it's stuck in history. I mean, the French Quarter is just an amazing historic neighborhood anyway. And you go there and it really, from the exterior, looks the same. So the business has really withstood the test of time. I mean, 2 world wars.
Yes.
Economic depressions, catastrophic hurricanes, including Katrina and Ida, and environmental disasters, including the BP oil spill, which I think was 2010. How did your family handle all that and persevere?
Well, it kind of builds character in each and every generation. And I guess you just persevere. And I definitely have been through a lot of it myself too. And you just keep going. I mean, people want to eat, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, oysters were actually cheaper than chicken, and it was a commodity that people wanted, and it was so good. And so through these challenges, you just keep going. I mean, wars, I wasn't around for any of the wars uh, per se, but um, we each and every turn, like BP, it was a disaster, certainly. We draw from other areas. We draw product whenever need be. Because it's a vast production throughout the Gulf and also throughout the country. If we need to, we definitely go to our other Gulf states first. And then if need be, you go to the East and West Coast. So you stick around, you make sure you provide all your wonderful customers and restaurants with product. And so that's how we do it. We just keep going. Storms, Katrina was direct effect on me and my family, and a lot of people went through a lot. But, we were shucking October 29th after the August 5th Katrina catastrophe. So I was shucking behind the bar at Bourbon House, Dickie Brennan and the family. Well, I was behind there shucking oysters to make sure, because we didn't have oyster shuckers.
Yeah.
So we did what we had to do, and we kept going. We just kept going.
Well, let's talk about the history of the Louisiana oyster. I think there's a lot of, and also dispel myths and misconceptions, because a lot of people just say Gulf Coast oysters, but we sat with you. We went down there yesterday to P&J because we love to get to know our guests. And there was a massive map of the different estuaries and growing areas. How many zones are there? And let's talk about how this cultivation is carefully regulated and where, how you source.
Well, let's start with the quantity of bays and bayous and tributaries. And there are 28 designated spots throughout the southern region of Louisiana. And that's a Department of Wildlife that stipulates all these lines and these oyster beds and leases. And so we have different names, and all those different bays and bayous and tributaries have these wonderful names. So we have the opportunity to, as you sell those, you point out the origin. And I love off-bottom culture oysters. I think they're amazing. And it's a wonderful marketing idea to be able to come up with the different names. And it's all fantastic. But I like to designate the origin. And I've been doing it since I started here, and that's over 40-something years. And the whole family did it. And so to this day, we stipulate exactly where that origin is from. And we are a vast, productive. We're number one in the nation in not only production but consumption of oysters. Not everybody knows that, and it's truly because of the combination of the fresh water from the Mississippi River and the salt water from the Gulf, and it generates this perfect ecology for the growth of oysters, and not only for the growth of oysters, but for all of the species. It's a perfect environment for the growth of seafood. And we're number one on the mainland for seafood in America also. So who's number one total in production of seafood? You tell me. Take a wild guess. Who do you think? You got two choices, because you got the mainland and then you got two other choices. So it's either Hawaii or Alaska. So it's Alaska.
I was going to say probably Alaska, although we love Hawaii.
You were going to vote for Hawaii, I know.
Well, we love going out there and having all their seafood.
Yeah, we love going out there to eat their seafood. But there's a lot more fishing industry up in Alaska.
It's a bigger industry.
Yeah.
And I would think that, it's interesting, Sal, because we've been to the Pacific Northwest a lot, and they have some great oysters and seafood up there.
Sure.
I didn't realize that Louisiana is bigger in terms of production and consumption than the Pacific Northwest, which I thought would have been bigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know you love your Seattle and all the wonderful seafood over there, but we do produce the most, and we do have the most oysters consumed than anywhere, and not everybody knows that.
I didn't know.
You know, I tell you, and nobody could dispute the facts.
I think oysters are more ingrained in the culture down here and in the lexicon down here than they are anywhere else.
Well, also you've got just iconic dishes that have been created here around the oyster. I mean, you've got your oysters on the half shell, but then you've got, it was Oysters Rockefeller, which is
Rockefeller. Those were our oysters, by the way, when they developed it.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. And then you've got oysters on brochette, which, many restaurants do. You've got the iconic oyster loaf po' boy, which you can get in many po' boy restaurants, and, fried oysters. A great tradition, whether you're going to Drago's or we had Easter dinner, is grilled oysters or an oyster roast. It's a social event here.
Yes. I mean, it's so many different ways, and the chefs throughout the city develop, and they focus on the seafood, but they focus on oysters and trying to develop so many different ways to present, and we've done a great job with that. I mean, I've been all over the world too, and I don't see the amount of oyster items on the menu. And since COVID, since Katrina and all, it has scaled back a bit, but they still develop. I mean, the latest one is the oyster taco. I mean, come on. Tuesday, tacos. That's what it's all about. You got to enjoy them, not only Tuesdays, but that's the next biggest thing. So all the Hispanic restaurants are going to start doing it too. It's the next best oyster dish.
I can't wait to try an oyster taco.
It just sounds amazing. So a lot of people, let's talk about some myths and some other interesting facts about oysters. So a lot of people think it's only R months, but we talked about it's not just R months. You can have oysters year round, right?
No, it's not. And it's all due to refrigeration. And, people think to this day that you're not supposed to eat oysters that don't have a month with an R in it. And that's just not true. I mean, May through August, and, in New Orleans, there's just so many wonderful different areas that you draw from. And so we're year round. It's a year round product, and they're just wonderful. Different sizing, different occurs, different sizing and different flavors, but it's a year round wonderful product. So
you said earlier that at one point there was more oyster consumption than chicken consumption.
Well, yes, and it was due to price, and it was cheaper, and it was just the way to go, and it was such a wonderful protein, and that's exactly true.
It's interesting because Melanie, you and I have traveled around a lot of the East Coast.
We've done a lot of oyster
and gone to a lot of the regions that produce oysters, and I see when we were in, say, South Carolina, or when we were in Apalachicola, you see these ancient mounds of oyster shells just sitting there, and that's from that history of mass consumption of oysters.
Well, also in New York in like the 1700s, 1800s, oysters were currency, and oyster shells were currency. They had it was this plentiful up in the waterways up there. So oysters were always more.
Now, that would be nice to be able to use my oyster shells as currency. I'd love
that'd be great.
That'd be great.
We'd all like that. And we were doing a little.
It's the new Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? We were doing a little reading, and oysters have some great nutritional qualities as well. I knew about the zinc and the magnesium, but David also saw calcium and what else?
All the vitamins.
Vitamins A and D, ascorbic acid.
So I mean, one bite of raw oyster has more nutritional value than most any other food. So I always tell people, I'm 95 years old, and it's because of the oyster. My mom used to, feed me oyster juice out of a bottle. So it's in my blood, and I eat oysters every day. And I'm not 95. My wife would kill me if I said that online.
Well, we had them for breakfast with you yesterday, and they were delicious. And you told us the proper way to slurp a raw oyster, which I now learned I've been doing wrong for many years.
And I'm here for you.
This is the method that you said you also taught Martha Stewart how to.
So kind of describe it.
when she
Yeah,
was visiting?
well, sure enough, she came over. She asked us if we wanted to be on her show. This is way back, in time before her little issues here and there. But sure enough, she came over, and she had never shucked an oyster, by the way, ever. And I respect the heck out of her. And she shucked an entire big sack, 100-pound sack of oysters.
Wow.
And I was next to her. And we started talking about oysters and eating them and different things. And I said, well, there's a certain true way that you're supposed to eat oysters so you don't get shell all over your mouth. So all it is, you pucker up, go down on it, and slurp it up. So it sounds a little unique the way I presented it at the time, but she chuckled. She loved it. And it truly is the way to do it, because you don't want to put your mouth on the shell and get shell all over you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's how I taught her. It's
you taught us how to do that yesterday, and I'm a convert. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
you're a believer. Easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
It's now, the way to go.
I know you make your own homemade sauce.
What do you asked me for the recipe, and you can't ask me again today just because
it's your secret recipe.
I'm just saying I can't do it.
Do you recommend? I mean, some people like me like a nude, nothing, but a lot of people like to have tartar sauce not tartar sauce. See, the red sauce, or cocktail sauce, or mignonette or whatnot. Yeah. Well, that's and then the thick red sauce. So
cocktail sauce. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, first, I like them natural. I want the oyster in its natural state, and to enjoy the fruits of the water and the flavors of the water. So that's number one. So if I'm eating raw, if I do want a little of my cocktail sauce, I'll put a little dab on it, and that's it, and eat it from there for raw, of course. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful option. And for my sauce, all I got to say is there's 14 ingredients in cocktail sauce.
And you can't sell it because you wouldn't make any money.
You can't buy it in stores.
Good.
You can't, because it would be too expensive to put out there. So, but maybe one day we'll figure something out.
Well, you're doing okay with oysters. Now let's talk about the oysters again, because sometimes when I say, we're going to have Louisiana oysters, and they call them Gulf Coast. Some people say, I always say Louisiana. Some people go, oh, they're too big for me. I like smaller. What is your comment to that? Because we've had different sizes. How would you distinguish this oyster from, say, another oyster from another area?
The key is that, there's different sizes of oysters, especially right now. They're plump and wonderful and amazing. And those are mainly the ones we cook with. So, and you also have frozen oysters. Different areas of the world really love our big oysters. So we freeze them and ship them that way, half shell. And they love that. But I mean, there's small oysters right now too, here in Louisiana. So it's not like every time you come to New Orleans, you're going to have these big oysters. It's just not the case. So,
that's true, Melanie, because we've been out a few times in the last couple of weeks to have oysters, and they've been at different restaurants, and we've gotten different sizes in each place, and we've asked, what zone do they come from, and we always love asking where these oysters coming from, and they always actually come up with the answer. Well, these are from zone 7, or these are from zone 6 or zone 17, and I think they all have a different quality that they bring to the oyster, all those different regions.
And maybe that's why the sizes are different. We'll ask Sal.
Well, it all depends on the water. It depends on how the oyster's eaten. It depends on the tide movement. It depends on the rainfall. It depends on the salinity. It just depends on Mother Nature and it dictating how that oyster is going to be.
So it's been dry. It's been dry here, and
we've been in the dry.
And cold. Yeah, and I know the crawfish have had a tough time. It's crawfish season. How have the oysters been handling the weather conditions this winter?
Well, we could use some water. we've had a great couple of rains over the past few days, and that's helped a little bit. But you know, the snowfall and the snow melt. Hopefully, there was enough of snow this year that will generate a higher river. Not too high. You want a certain balance.
Right.
You want that snow melt to be a part of getting into the bays and tributaries throughout southern
So
Louisiana.
you're talking about the snow melt from the Midwest. And
Yes, yes. Yeah, we
Even though
don't
we
have
had
a
a
whole lot of
snow
snow
last
here.
year.
We're
We did
talking
have a
about
snow
the
last
river,
year.
the Mississippi River, and it being able to help, you know, provide the fresh water to balance out that perfect environment for the oyster. But we'll get through. I mean, it's been an issue. I mean, we've had some low tides and even for boats to get around. But we're doing fine. We're gonna make it happen, just like we always do.
Yeah.
I have a question. You know, oysters, they're farmed, obviously, and you start with a are they called spats, I believe?
Yes, yes. A young
And when-
oysters is called a spat. You're very good. How'd you remember that?
He's
Very
good at that.
man.
So
Yeah.
I did my research. So you actually, they're farmed. So you grow the oysters. What's the lifespan what's the cycle? How long does it take for an oyster
Yeah.
to come to maturity? And how often can you regenerate new ones?
Sure, sure. The planting, by the way, is generated through, it used to be a big part of our production was a state lease and the state leases. And those are considered wild oysters. And we'd actually use those small state-owned oysters and harvest them, and move them to the individual beds that are leased by farmers. So that was what we used to do. We don't have that production anymore. 5% maybe are considered wild oysters from the state. But what we do is we use oyster shell. So after shucking, we cure the oysters and we end up putting them back out onto the beds. So there would be growth there. And you also have natural growth of oysters. So once that product starts to reproduce, once the oyster starts to reproduce, as this water starts to warm from the winter, and then there's a natural reproduction, and that larvae excretes into the water and is moved by tidal movement, and it attaches to anything hard. And of course, oysters are all around it, and that's where it begins to grow, and that's where that spat begins. And from that point in Louisiana, it may take 2 to 5 years, typically a 3-year process before market. Ours grow a whole lot quicker due to the temperature of the waters and the balance that we have throughout the year. And compared to cold water regions, they take a whole lot longer for it to grow.
Interesting.
And so anyway, it takes average of 3 years to get to market.
So that's interesting. First of all, so to underscore, it's a regenerative effort then, which is really, really great.
Yeah, oysters don't really move a whole lot. So yeah, but it's a regeneration on its own
well, that's important for sustainability. So I'm curious, are there laws like there are with other types of fish or products that you can not fish oysters until they're of a certain maturity?
Yeah, there's size regulations for sure. And it's directed by Wildlife and Fisheries, and it's monitored. And yes, you can't harvest an oyster that's too small. Too big, but then those are mainly considered breeders because they produce so much larvae and so much of the reproductive needs for oysters. And now, I'm just saying it's true.
Well, how do oysters mate?
No, they don't mate. Like I was saying before, as the water starts to turn warmer, the oysters just create their larvae, and that's what's dispersed throughout and it opens up and it generates onto other shell, hard shell. And that's where it attaches to the oyster shell or the culch. By the way, the original culch that we used to love out of the Lake Pontchartrain, was clamshell. And that developed a beautiful round oyster all the time. So yeah, from that point, it, attaches, and that's how it grows.
I read somewhere that oysters actually change their sex a couple of times throughout their lifetime.
Yes, that is true. That is true. That's a hot topic in today's world. I'm just saying, it's all good with the oyster. It's all good with the oyster.
That's good.
I'm not going to go there.
I think when we did a show with oyster boss Jeff Tilley, he showed us how to figure out a male versus a female.
Oh gosh, oyster. I don't remember that. I was just too busy eating.
Yeah, we were busy. But
to this day, I've been doing it quite some time, and with the oyster, no. Yeah. We can move on to something else if you want. Is this a G-rated or R-rated? What kind of show?
We can do whatever we want.
It's YouTube.
It's online. There's no regulation.
It's anything goes.
You got a lot of regulations, but you guys don't have as much.
It's just very interesting because, we're always curious about the craziest things. And we are huge, we're huge oyster fans.
So real quick, let me ask you a question.
What does biggest mean? Well, on average, what is?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead. I'll ask.
Well, when you say the biggest, what are we talking about? 100,000 oysters?
I'll explain in a certain way because we didn't bring this up yet. We P&J created the New Orleans Oyster Festival, and along with my friends from Acme, we partnered up and generated with all the wonderful restaurants in the city. Generated the New Orleans Oyster Fest. And we had 3 different events, 3 different unique contests. One was the biggest oyster. By the way, this was supposed to be done the year of 2006. So imagine that. That didn't happen. We had a bit of a problem the year before. So that didn't happen. And then sure enough, we did it with BP, the year of BP, 2010. So from that point, we did it for 10 years, and then we shut it down after COVID. It's always something, always something. So these 3 events, one's the biggest oyster, P&J's biggest oyster contest. And then we had P&J's oyster shucking contest. And then the Acme oyster eating contest. So first of all, the eating contest. How many do you think the Black Widow, her name's Sonia Thomas. She's a professional eater. What is the record of oysters consumed in 8 minutes? 8 minutes. There's trays of oysters, and she's eaten, a dozen at a time. How many dozen do you think she ate? In 8 minutes. It's the world record. And I was a judge at the time. It was a scary situation.
I'm going to go with 15.
15 dozen. How about you, Melanie? Go ahead. Tell me.
Well, I was thinking, I don't know my dozens. I was doing 80 oysters.
80 oysters.
Yeah.
8. Okay. It's 48 dozen.
Ah, Lord.
48 dozen oysters in 8 minutes.
And I thought.
But anyway, that was not a pretty sight. You could look at it, you turn away. It's not easy. And then the oyster shuckers. So Jay from New Orleans at Superior is the quickest. And what did he get in 2 minutes to have a beautifully shucked oyster? The one that you want to present to your favorite customer that comes to the oyster bar and gives you $20 every time he comes. So what do you think? How many did he shuck? And that's still P&J's record to this day in 2 minutes.
Well,
take a wild guess.
39.
Are you? Wait, you're not like Googling on the side there and looking it up. Did you do that?
Melanie cheated.
Tom, did you cheat?
I would think that he could do like 3 or 4 dozen.
Well, that's tough in 2 minutes. So it's 28 in 2 minutes to have a perfect oyster, both sides cut, the mussels cut on both sides, and a perfect presentation. So that's the second one. So the biggest oyster, this is where it all came up, is you want to know what the biggest oyster is all about, don't you, Melanie? I know. So sure enough, the biggest oyster it was 8.5 by 4.5. 8.5 inches, but not feet, okay? Not feet. It's 8.5 inches by 4.5.
That's a big oyster.
That's a big oyster, Poco.
Wow.
I wouldn't be tucking that down. I'd be like grilling it and roasting it.
No, nobody did. They just looked at it. That was it. Because we ended up shucking it after, so it was a bit much. So now you know.
A friend who tried it. I literally had a friend from Switzerland who tried to cut her oyster with a knife. I'm like, what are you doing? No.
You don't cut it with a knife.
I'm like,
all right, so wait, it's festival season. Let me ask you guys, you've been living here 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Your heart's been here the whole time because you used to live here before for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because of Tulane. I know all about it. I know the story.
Great way.
So tell me, it's festival season. What are your top 3 festivals in the city of New Orleans? Because now's the time to go.
Now?
Yeah. Well, this kind of timing, this whole timing.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's music. So Jazz Fest, French Quarter Festival. I went to the New Orleans Book Festival. Food-wise, we tried to go to the Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival, but it was just too crowded. So we came back and just bought strawberries.
We like the Po' Boy Festival.
Po' Boy Festival. Okay. The Po' Boy Festival on Oak Street, Po' Boy Festival.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Always fun.
Gumbo Festival's pretty darn good.
Hogs for the Cause.
Yeah, that's a good
coming up.
And you're a part of that, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We support.
Oh yeah, we got to go to the Hogs for a Cause. Great event, fundraising event. I mean, to all our friends out there, and we have a lot of European listeners. First of all, there is a festival, and during festival season, there's festivals every weekend.
Every week.
Yeah, and there's food, crawfish festival. There's several of them.
Crawfish, yeah.
Then near us in City Park, there's the Beignet Festival.
Crawfish Festival. Oh yeah, it's just nonstop. But you can't even come up with 3 for your best, so that's okay. To me, my favorite. I'm a little, biased with French Quarter Fest.
Oh
yeah. It used to be the New Orleans Oyster Fest, of course.
Right.
But now, it's to me French Quarter Fest. It's just
the best.
Usually the weather's really wonderful.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, knock on wood, because it's coming up next week. Next week, right? Yeah, next week.
So for everybody listening, this is really important. A lot of our friends come down for Jazz Fest, which is the last weekend.
Which is amazing.
1st of May, and you spend a lot of money, and it's great. Big headliners. But the secret local love is the French Quarter Festival because it's free to attend.
It's free to get in.
All over the French Quarter, so it's easy to navigate. All local music and Louisiana music. Yeah. And great. I think the food is it's the best of the festival, best of the fest. You get such great food. We can't wait to go. And the bands are great. And so I encourage
music
to come to New Orleans now. Yeah.
Book it.
Yeah.
Time to be here.
Yeah, this is the best time to be in New Orleans. I'd say March, April, to May, but I love February, March, and April. I mean, it's just great. And the food is great. The oysters are at their best. The crawfish is out. Yep. The strawberries, the Ponchatoula strawberries are coming in. And it's great. And perfect the music, every weekend there's music.
To be in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And the wild jasmine are blooming. We can smell them when we go outside. It's like the flowers, the magnolias. It's just beautiful here. It really
and I have a question. Y'all had a little thing that you used to do, and for your birthday you go out and eat oysters.
Yes, my age.
Now, tell me more about this, because it's a nice little tradition. I'd love to hear it again.
I'll do it, and hope we have time. my engineer. So when I was 11, my dad turned 40. I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee. My mom went to Sophie Newcomb, and later I would too. And we have some kinfolk down here. So we did a grand tour of New Orleans to all the great restaurants and all the famous dishes. And my mom, told me to get ready, and I kept a scrapbook. And one of the best things was my dad ate his aged oysters, 40 oysters. I had my first raw oyster, my first crab, my first everything. It was like I never ate chicken fingers again. And in tradition, I started eating my aged oysters. My birthday is January 1st. So it's great. And wherever I am, I have oysters. It's the older I get, I have to do it over a period of time. But I used to, back when there was the blind pelican. The blind pelican on St. Charles was 25 cents an oyster. It was real easy to eat your aged oysters.
That, I'm telling you, that's a wonderful tradition. I think I'm going to start it. And
you know who else does it?
Ian,
New Orleans.
60 amount for me. I'm okay with it. I'm ready.
NewOrleans.com, the Times-Picayune restaurant critic, Ian McNulty does it too. It's his tradition also.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know that about Ian.
Yeah, he posted it, and I wrote him, and I said, dude, we got to go out and eat oysters together. I'm still working on my age.
So it's a trend.
I'm at 6 dozen plus now. It's a lot.
It's all good. We're going to keep doing it. I'm going to start the tradition myself.
I'm getting up there too.
It's great. And, I
got a few plates on top of them.
Never going to give. I love my oysters. And whenever time I do it, I think about my dad. He hated seafood, but he loved oysters.
Loved oysters. I love it.
Oh my, it's been so good to talk to you again. And thank you for your hospitality yesterday. Everybody, we went down to P&J and checked everything out. And you can go visit. Here's a secret thing. There's a B&B, a bed and breakfast, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom.
Don't forget.
Apartment up there. I saw it online. Yeah.
3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, right there in the French Quarter, above the shucking house. We're out of there real early. We don't cause a mischief. We're gone on the weekends. The shucking part.
Yeah.
Sal, one last question. Most of your oysters go through restaurants and at retail. Do you also sell out the back door at your establishment?
The front door, the back door. You could climb through the ceiling if you want. You could get them here at P&J. I'm just saying. I mean, you could get them from every angle.
Sounds good.
Well, our friend Jeffrey does it. That's what we had for Easter. We had for Easter, our friend Jeffrey Hoosman went down and he said, I got to only have P&J. People
and y'all had a feast.
Yeah. Loyal. You got to have your P&J oyster.
Buy them by the bucket.
Yeah, buy them by the bucket.
Yes, indeed.
Congratulations on the 150th anniversary of P&J Oysters. It's just so great. Again, everybody out there, how much we love New Orleans. You've met another great New Orleans family-run business. Thank you, Sal, for spending time with us and having some oysters ready.
And come see our proclamation. We have this proclamation at the shop, and we have the historical marker right there where the streetcar goes past, as you could see in the backdrop. Absolutely. But we have a historical marker that kind of points out a lot about our history, and it's really wonderful.
And also, if you want to learn more about it online, you can go to their website, which is oysterlover.com. Pretty easy.
That's catchy.
And we got that in the beginning. You can read all about their history. You get some recipes off there too. We didn't have time to talk about that today, but they do have some recipes. But you won't find their cocktail sauce there, though.
Yeah.
And we can do an experience, a P&J oyster experience. You just got to call me and book it. You could get our number online, oysterlover.com.
Sounds good.
And you have oysters and wine, and it's a beautiful event. You learn everything about oysters.
We'll tell everybody about the wine because we love good wine with oysters. Thank you again for joining us. It's been really great.
Appreciate you guys, and you keep doing what you're doing. This is wonderful.
We look forward to coming in and slurping a couple oysters with you again soon.
Come on over.
All right.
And for all y'all listening and watching, come on down to New Orleans. We can't say that enough. We always love it when we go out. There's always somewhere to go and something to experience. And we want you to remember that's why we do the Connected Table, to share the stories of all the great people who run businesses around the country that inspire you to eat, drink, and be insatiably curious. Thank you.
All right.